Yeah, we are now live. What's good with your fam? Fam, welcome to Big Faces Worldwide, where we talking nothing but this boxing, man. Hey, listen, man, welcome to the final round, man. First off, I'd like to thank you all for tuning in to the channel. And if you're new here, I want you to be here, man. So think about hitting that subscribe button as we stay knee deep into this boxing conversation, man. Now, we got a lot of good fights coming up this weekend. We got the Rob Brandt uh, Ryota Murata rematch. We got Amir Khan going up against Billy Gibbs. We got Daniel Dubois going up against Nathan Gorman. We got Shakur Stevenson. We got Jamal James and Antonio DeMarco. Plus, we got all this boxing news to talk about, man. But before I begin, let me introduce. I got a co-host tonight, man. Let me introduce from Ring Gang Radio, my guy, Bigger Pat. What's going on, Pat? How you feeling, fam?
Man, chilling, man. Thank you for having me on your show, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm just here. You know, it's actually my birthday today too. So just like I'm just chilling, man, just enjoying myself. You know, taking in, just being relaxed and whatnot.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Happy birthday, by the way, man. I appreciate you. You could be anywhere in the world, man, but you right here with Big Faces Worldwide, man. Don't forget when saying when you ain't talking, don't forget to hit that mute button because I could definitely hear that echo in the background. But yeah, man, we got a lot of news, man. We got a lot of news, a lot of fights coming up. This Canelo, I don't even know what to call it, man. This Canelo thing has just got the whole boxing world confused, man. Canelo was so close to becoming undisputed middleweight champion of the world. All he needed was one belt, and it was held by Demetrius Andrade, who's with Golden Boy, but is with the Zone. So it was they're both under the same banner. I'm sure the WBC, if Golden Boy had petitioned the WBC to permit them to fight Demetrius Andrade for undisputed, I am quite sure that they would have waited, would have made Jamal Charlo wait, and I'm quite sure that fight could have been made. So by him not fighting Demetrius Andrade and not going for undisputed, that tells me that he wasn't interested in fighting Andrade, and he was not interested in fighting Jamal Charlo for whatever reason. You know what I'm saying? But now that, you know what I'm saying, now that he has given up the title or been stripped of the title or whatever you want to call it, and has become this franchise champion, now I'm hearing Andrade's name in the mix of possible potential opponents, which doesn't make sense to me, man. What you think about that, fam?
Man, Canelo, this whole thing with Canelo, like who's going to be Canelo's opponent? Canelo at 147, Canelo at 154, Canelo at 160, 175. This is like, I don't understand how this got to the point where middleweight was once a competitive division, but now we have everyone that wants to go after, doesn't want to go after the champions in their own division. They just want to go after Canelo. I mean, this whole thing doesn't make sense. And I personally think Andrade, who is the last link to a unified middleweight champion since Jermaine Taylor, should be the next opponent for Canelo. But unfortunately, the Zone does, for some reason, it's either Golovkin or Kovalev, I believe. And it's just like it's terrible. Like I don't understand. Like it's just stagnating the division that shouldn't be stagnated at all.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. It's one of the hottest. It got the potential to be the hottest division in boxing, man, because there's so much potential at middleweight, man. But I could tell after the last Gennady fight and after several interviews that it didn't seem to me that Canelo was interested at all in making a trilogy, the rubber match with Canelo. But I think the pressure from the Zone, may force him to do so, or may make that an option.
Oh, they're definitely going to force Canelo Golovkin. I mean, I know Canelo is like, he doesn't need, I don't want Golovkin. I want to face somebody else or whatever. But the Zone is paying a lot of money for their contracts. And the reason why DAZN went after both of them is to get them to fight one more time, because it's the marquee fight, because DAZN needs that fight to drive in more subscriptions as they're trying to build up their boxing content. So Canelo can't just go like, oh no, oh I'm sorry, I just don't want to fight. And I mean, even the sanctioning bodies. I mean, Golovkin is the number one contender for 3 of the 4 sanctioning bodies right now. Like there's like, and you know, with that knockout of Rose, which was, you know, was spectacular, whatever, it's setting all things into motion. Like, I mean, I don't know what Canelo thinks he's doing. I mean, you know, if he did, but like I said, I just can't see that type of impunity that, you know, to keep on going. They're like, oh, I don't have to face Golovkin. I'll face Sergey Kovalev at 175. You know, I just can't see that going on any further.
Yeah, man, it's kind of strange, man. It's definitely strange. And when I first heard the Sergey Kovalev thing, man, I really honestly thought it was a joke, man. I did not believe that that he could really be serious about fighting Sergey Kovalev, man, because in my eyes, man, that's a mismatch, man. That's a mismatch, man. I do think Sergey Kovalev might beat the brakes off of Canelo, man. I think he's just too goddamn big for him, man.
Yeah, like I mean, Kovalev, for whatever reason, people will think, oh yeah, Kovalev is a racist, he's a piece of shit, he's an asshole. He's all that under the sun, but he's also a dangerous, skilled fighter and a dangerous puncher. Like, I mean, Kovalev, like anyone, like no one has really taken a lot of his shots like that and just thinking like they got out of the ring just like okay. I mean, we've seen what he did to Hopkins. I mean, he pretty much boxed Andre Ward to a stalemate. I mean, he avenged his loss to Alvarez. Like he's killed a man in the ring. He's a very dangerous, even as he's like declining a little bit because of his out of the ring issues. I just think Canelo is biting off more than he can chew because he will feel some real light heavyweight power. And even more interesting, because I mean, I think part of the reason why he's going after Kovalev, because they say Kovalev is weak to the body and whatnot. So that's maybe they're saying something like, okay, maybe we can try to catch up old Kovalev slipping. But knows he's not calling out any of the other light heavyweight champions, both of which I would think that would box the brakes off Canelo and probably knock him out.
Absolutely, man. And shout out to Main Event Mark and my homie Legendary Top Cats in the building, man. I appreciate y'all coming through. But right now, I look at Demetrius Bivol as the number 1 at light heavyweight, man. And if you truly trying to be great, with which Canelo seems to be going after, if you truly want to put your stamp in this boxing thing, man, you go after the best, man. You go after the best. He's looking at Kovalev as worn down, you know what I'm saying, over the hill, which Kovalev may be a little over the hill. His time may be, coming to an end. But I think Kovalev got a few really good fights left in him, man. You know what I mean? Kovalev can punch holes through brick walls. We all seen it through his whole career. Up until he met Andre Ward, man, somebody who stood up to him. But Andre Ward is bigger than Canelo Alvarez. Canelo, you know what I'm saying, although he blows up in weight, he has a small frame, man. You remember when Rocky Fielding was kneeling down, when Canelo hit him with them body shots and Rocky Fielding was kneeling down, Canelo was only like a head taller than him, man. And Sergey Kovalev is the same height, if not taller, than a Rocky Fielding. And Canelo, and Kovalev can box. If you look at the rematch between Kovalev and a later Alvarez, Kovalev listened to Buddy McGirt, man, and he boxed Alvarez and he got his title back, man. You gotta take all that into consideration, man. If Kovalev's sticking that long jab out there in front of in front of Canelo, who has problems with guys who move, with guys with good jabs, man, what is Canelo going to do? You know what I'm saying? What is he going to do, man? I don't know, man. What you think about that, fam?
Well, first of all, I mean, in terms of who I think is the top light heavyweight, I still think Bosniak is the top light because he's the lineal champ. I mean, he's the one who knocked out Superman. So, I mean, that's his division right now. But, I mean, Bivol, I mean, we saw him fight. Bivol, I think, is even probably too small to be a light heavyweight. Now, I mean, to me, he's actually suited for 168 because there's something I didn't like about what I saw in the fight with his fight with Joe Smith. Because basically I think he boxed well enough, but he took one bomb from Joe Smith that had him like stiff-legged like a zombie almost. And I was like, if there was more time in that round, Bivol might have just lost his belt. Whereas with Vazic, I haven't really seen that type of trouble from him yet. Although he's hot and cold, sometimes he's a little lackadaisical or whatever when he fights. But when he's not, you get the Superman KOs, you get some of his other performances where he just scores some brutal knockouts.
Yeah, I hear you. You say you seen Bivol hurt, but we seen Voistick. He was dropped. You know what I'm saying? He was dropped by Stevenson. He was hurt bad in that fight. You know what I'm saying? But he showed his true champion grit and was able to overcome that and you know what I'm saying, and win that fight, man. My man Main Event Mark says Bivol is my top dude at 175 too, no doubt, man. Legendary Top Cat says they call Kovalev the crusher. Everything he throw going to hurt Kovalev. Yeah, that's yep. I believe that too.
I believe that too.
Kovalev, Canelo, yeah, he took Golovkin's punches. Golovkin was definitely the boogeyman of the middleweight division for a long time, man. And he took his punches on the chin. He took them rather well, man. But getting punched by a guy at light heavyweight, especially with the reputation of a Sergey Kovalev, I think is a different ball game, man. And I just think that Canelo, you know what I'm saying, I think, if he does in fact fight Crusher Kovalev, if he's just not blowing smoke, I think he's in for a rude awakening.
And my thing about Canelo too, and just want to bring this up too, I personally think Canelo is starting to decline as a fighter physically. Because I don't think. Two fights, especially that second fight with Golovkin, I don't think Canelo did any good. Because notice, like pretty much after that fight, like he hasn't moved well. Like against Fielding, he didn't really have to move, because Fielding just he was there to job, just to lose. But then you saw in the Jacobs fight where he looked. He's still wearing that knee brace because before they said, oh, that knee wasn't an issue, but he's wearing it more and more, and he looked a lot slower. He was laboring. And if Jacobs actually fought with a little bit more urgency and actually really attacked him and actually really wanted to win that fight, he could have beat Canelo that night. Because, like I said, because Canelo didn't fight good. And I'm just thinking to myself that, Canelo that's not moving around and you're going to fight someone like Sergey Kovalev, that's just a recipe for disaster right there.
Yeah, I agree, man. Actually, I really don't see what Canelo is looking at when he looks at Sergey Kovalev. Like, what I'm saying, he's, maybe he thinks that he's mentally weak, which we have seen, Sergey look like he's having mental breakdowns when he gets challenged, man, especially in that Andre Ward fight. He didn't know what to do in certain instances. It's like he, bent over on the ropes. So just looked like he was looking for a way out. So maybe Canelo's thinking, if only I can get past that jab, man. If I can get past that jab and get some good body work in, I'll be able to stop Sergey Kovalev, man. But I just think it's a bad matchup for him. And I don't think that, he should pursue that, man. He doesn't seem like he wants to fight Demetrius Andre. Like I said, he was one belt away from undisputed, one belt away from stamping your legacy, man. His legacy is already created, but you want to add that middleweight undisputed to your legacy, man. Nobody can ever take that away from you. He was one belt away from it, and he let it all go. You know what I'm saying? He don't want to fight Jamal Charlo for whatever reason. He don't want to fight Demetrius Andre for whatever reason, man. I don't know what that reason is. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if he don't think he can beat him right now. And things you just mentioned is valid, man. Like he's wearing that knee brace. Maybe his body's breaking down.Maybe he don't think that he can take on these young athletic black fighters right now. You know what I'm saying? So he's going for a Kovalev who's in his late 30s, or a Golovkin who's in his late 30s, and you know what I'm saying? It just makes you wonder what type of health Canelo Alvarez is really in, man.
Personally, I just think, Andre, I fought Andre he's from my area, so I followed him since like the beginning of his career, since he was in like the like trying to trial for the Olympic trials or whatever, man. No one, I mean, no one wants smoke with him, like not him. And I'm a huge Triple G fan. I don't think he wants smoke with him. I mean, Charlo doesn't want smoke with him. Danny Jacobs doesn't want, but then Danny Jacobs and Andre are longtime friends, so it's like they have a friendship aspect. So that's the reason why they're not fighting. Andre he's not a boogeyman, but I think his style is just so unorthodox, and he can punch too, and he's fast, and he uses movement. Basically, he's a more athletic Billy Joe Saunders, if you want to call it that way. Like he's a nightmare for every people to fight, and I know Canelo, still has nightmares from his fight with Lara, where Lara just ran circles around the ring, and picking him off and making him look foolish. Yeah, and that was prime Canelo. He doesn't want those issues with Andre, and he's gonna try to. I mean, with Jamal Charlo, I think it's just the PBC factor. Like, they were just like, man, Oscar doesn't want to go talk to Al, or Al doesn't want to talk to Oscar, So there's like, you know what? The WBC is like, let's just make him what's that shit called again?
The franchise champion.
Yeah, and then get Jamal Charlo, who hasn't really impressed at all at middleweight. Just give him the full title, which is just what's the stupidest thing in the world, just to give up a belt like that and just ruin the whole unified middleweight title thing. Like, Jamal Charlo should have to me should have went to DAZN to actually try to get the belts like Danny Jacobs did.
I agree. I think that Jamal Charlo should have went to DAZN also, man. And and if the WBC was going to pull a move like that, man, I think that they should have, instead of just giving Jamal Charlo the belt, just elevating him to the title, they should have made the fight with Brandon Adams the title fight, if that's how they felt. So, you know what I'm saying? So people can at least say that Jamal Charlo fought someone for this title. You know what I'm saying? But we'll see, man. We'll see what Canelo does. Canelo is that guy. He put himself in position to dictate, what he wants to do, how he wants to do it, and when he wants to do it. I know the IBF, they have ordered a purse bid between him and Sergey Derevyanchenko. Now, this right here, that just blows my mind, man. Sergey Derevyanchenko, this is going to be his third attempt at the IBF crown and within a year. You know what I'm saying? What is it with the IBF that they want this guy to have their belt? You know what I'm saying? Golovkin dropped his belt because he didn't want to fight Derevyanchenko. Then Derevyanchenko and Danny Jacobs fought for the title. Jacobs beat him. Now Derevyanchenko fought Cokley for the IBF eliminator. Now he's the mandatory again. I don't understand how Derevyanchenko just so fast after a loss to Danny Jacobs put himself back in position, to fight for the middleweight title. I think that's bullshit, man. When you got guys out there who can, who've been grinding, man, who've been grinding and really putting in work. You know what I mean? It's crazy to me.
Yeah, with Derevyanchenko, I think the reason why it's a quick turnaround because I think Derevyanchenko's promoter is Lou DiBello, right?
Yeah.
And the IBF is the only American-based sanctioning body. So I'm thinking that maybe they have a relationship going, so that's why he keeps getting these repeat eliminators or title shots. And I know this time around, if Canelo decides he doesn't want to do this, then the IBF is going to order Derevyanchenko and Golovkin, and of course, we'll see if Golovkin actually wants to fight for this belt, or we see Derevyanchenko go to a lesser fighter.
What? To be honest, I'm not sure that that Golovkin, he's worried about the titles at this point. The only thing that Golovkin seemed to be focused on is that bag and Canelo Alvarez. You know what I'm saying? He don't seem like you want to face nobody tough, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he'll fight Derevyanchenko. I don't think if he don't fight Canelo Alvarez, I think he'll continue to fight dudes like Steve Rose. With no disrespect to Steve Rose, but Steve Rose is not no top fighter. Golovkin been on top for years. He need to, he need to continue to fight top competition, man. He's looking like a cherry picker. He's looking weak, and it's going to ruin his legacy, man. I was arguing with dudes you know, a while back, man. You know, everybody was bashing Golovkin, bashing Golovkin. You know, they forgot about all the shit that Golovkin did, man. Golovkin did a lot of shit in the past, man. Golovkin was the true boogeyman at middleweight division. Nobody wanted to face him. Danny Jacobs wasn't ready for him. Jamal Charlo didn't want to fight him. Other guys didn't want to fight him. Canelo wasn't ready for him at the time. You know what I'm saying? And now that he's older, you know, and on his way out, everybody's calling him out, and he's being very selective about who he fights. And all of a sudden, you know, everybody's bashing him. He's a dunker. He's a cherry picker. And, you know what I'm saying? That rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. Dope Action. What's good with your fam?
Man, you know, Triple G, like as I mentioned before, man, Triple G's been one of my favorite fights for a minute. And yeah, like he's been avoided. I mean, he was avoided against Sergio Martinez, Felix Sturm, Miguel Cotto. The Miguel Cotto one was the one that really pissed me off. Sergio, I mean, at the time, I mean, Sergio had other like had other issues going on, but you know, but Miguel Cotto won the damn belt. Like he won the belt. He was the lineal champion. And Triple G put himself in a position to actually be his mandatory. And Miguel Cotto gave up his belt just so he didn't have to fight him. And that was like a pure duck, because he was talking about, oh, let me drain Golovkin down to 155. And then when Canelo actually beat Cotto and, you know, became the man of the division, I thought, okay, Canelo at least is a fighting champion. Like maybe he will, do something different. But no, he did the same bullshit. And this is what made me sour on Canelo. Triple G, like I said, I mean, you won't find anyone that had this type of like streak. I mean, who was KO? I mean, to KO like 20 fighters in a row, something. I mean, like fighting like, you know, KOing like people like 9 years straight. You know, I mean, that's incredibly difficult, and not a lot of champions can do that.
Absolutely.
Especially even today. Like, I mean, I know Wilder's probably the closest to that, but even he's gone to a division. Like, even he hasn't broken like the double digit, you know, knockout win streak, man. I mean, Golovkin was in his prime, was a great fighter. Like he was a perfect box puncher. Yeah, he has one of the best chins of his. I mean, he's one of the few fighters that has not been hurt or dropped or wobbled anyway to the point of to a point like where he gets stopped. Like Golovkin was truly great, but I just feel like all this nonsense that's happening in the later of his career. Yeah, I think that might actually put a stain on it.
Absolutely. And the sad thing is that we really never seen Gennady Golovkin fight elite competition in his prime. Like I said, he didn't fight Danny Jacobs until what? He was 35, you know what I'm saying? 34, 35. He didn't fight Kell Brook till he was 34, 35. So them years, them late 20s, early 30s, when Golovkin was really Golovkin, man, we missed out on him fighting top opposition, man. I just think it's the same path, you know what I mean? But we got the rematch, man, for the what is it, the WBA regular, the rematch between Rob Brandt and Ryota Murata. That's going on Friday, man. You know, a lot of people didn't give Rob Brandt a chance in the first fight, man. What do you think about the rematch?
Man. Well, personally, I think the rematch. Because I'll say this about Brandt. I was disappointed in his performance in the World Boxing Super Series because he got beaten so easily by Bramer. You know, so that really soured me on him.
But he was at a higher weight. He was at a different weight than what he's supposed to be at.
Right, but I mean, I also thought Bramer was also a little bit long in the tooth, and Bramer just handled him like with ease, and I was just like, no, so this guy was a pretender. And then after that, I kind of like I didn't focus my attention, and then I see that he's facing Murata, and I thought Murata is, you know, he's okay, but I thought Murata would probably run through him. And because it was on the same night as Andre, and you know, and when he won the belt in Boston, so I had to miss that. I missed watching that fight live. But when I came back, I was like, man, Brandt beat the living shit out of Murata. Like it wasn't like he outboxed him, like he punched him, like outworked him. Like Murata was ready to go. Like he was so thoroughly beaten up. Like I was like, man, Like Brant just, I guess was really motivated,
Yeah.
and it was one sided. Like, I don't think it gave Murata like probably no more than 3 rounds. Like
Yeah, and it was evident from round one. It was evident from round one. When I seen that first round, like you said, I was flicking back and forth through the Andre Aquindaqua fight in the Brant Murata, and I seen in the first round the way he came out, man. I said, if he keep this up, man, he gonna beat the shit out of Murata. Like, his work rate through that whole fight was very impressive, man. He kept that same. I don't know how he kept that same work rate up, man. Like, his energy level was on 10. Like, he was throwing so many punches, and they were, they weren't no pity pat punches too, man. So shouts out to Rob Brandt. I think Rob Brandt wins the rematch again, man. I just think it's a bad matchup for Murata. I don't think that, I never really thought Murata was all that in the first place. I think Rob Brandt beats him again.
Yep, I do too. I think Brant will probably stop him this time around. Yeah, I just thought Murata took too much punishment in that first fight, and Brant's gonna finish the deal this time.
Definitely. Flex, what's up with your Flex? I don't know how to say nothing else but flex at the end. What's good with your fam? I appreciate you coming through. Don't forget to hit that like button for your boy. I really appreciate it. I got my homie, Bigger Pat from Ring Gang Radio. Make sure y'all go and subscribe to Ring Gang Radio. They put a lot of things together. They got a podcast. They got a YouTube page, and they're very unique, very creative, man. And, I want you to go check them out, man. We also got Amir Khan, man. Amir Khan is fighting Billy Dibbs, man. And I can't believe this. If Amir Khan wins over Billy Dibbs, he gets to be in the rankings of the top 5. The top 5, I believe, with the WBC, I believe,
Yeah,
I think it's the WBC.
WBC. And again,
how is that possible, man?
I don't know. First of all, I mean, when the first fight was into Amir Khan versus that Indian cat, I'm like, oh, okay, this is just maybe it's exhibition. Then it's like, oh, this is a pro. This is gonna be a pro fight. This is gonna count on the record. And I'm just looking like, okay, Khan's just probably doing this for the bag. The Arabs are probably paying him a whole lot to be there. And then the Indian cat gets into a car accident. And then we get Billy Dibb, who's been retired since he got his ass whooped by Tevin Farmer. I'm thinking about, and Billy Dibb is a former featherweight champion. How he became champion in the first place is beyond me.
Exactly.
I'll say this though, the worst last minute change for a card that I ever went to, was it was supposed to be a main event between Alan Green and Elida Alvarez, but Alan Green pulled some shenanigans to get out of the fight. So Billy Dibb, who was the co-main event, and Mike Oliver was bumped into the main event, and I had ringside seats for that. The only card I ever went to that I actually bought ringside seats, and I saw Billy Dibb struggle with Mike Oliver, was pretty shot at that particular point, and I was pissed. And I was like, I never want to see Billy Dibb fight again. I want to see him get killed every single time. But somehow, some way, Billy Dibb doesn't go away. We get this nonsense. And it's at welterweight. Why? Why is this happening? It doesn't make no sense at all. Why is this fight happening?
He lost against Tevin Farmer at 130. Now he's gonna go up 2 weight divisions and face Amir Khan, man. It just bewilders me how that the promoters can even put this on. That they have the balls, they have the big enough balls to really actually put Billy Dibbs' picture on the bill, man. It's a shame. It's a disgrace. And I think Khan gets him out of there real quick. I don't think it's going to do well. Well, it might do well over there because they don't have a whole lot of boxing going on. Where were they doing it at, man?
Yeah, but I mean, it's like a whole festival thing. I think that's going on there. I mean, they got Huey Fury and Sam Peter as the co-main event, which is another fight I shake my head at. I'm like, who is matchmaking? I'm thinking just like they're just throwing the bag at anybody. Like they're just putting names in the bag and just picking them out. But yeah, no, if Dibb, let's put it this way, if Amir Khan loses legitimately to Dibb, then Khan's career is over. I mean, it is over. Like there shouldn't be no more. He shouldn't be used as like an opponent, a high profile. Like his career is over if Dibb actually gives him some work.
Right. Any problems? If this fight goes over 5 rounds. Amir Khan needs to just give it up. You know what I'm saying? And I heard he's making like 7, 8 million for this fight, which is unbelievable. It's unbelievable to me, man. I just don't get it, man. But you know, this sport of boxing, man, it never ceases to amaze me, man. There's always some shit in the game, man. They're gonna throw some curveballs in here, man. I got a Russian in the chat. I don't know, my man Flex. He says he don't know English language. I don't know what he's talking about. Can you understand, or you just here, or what you doing, fam? What you doing? What you doing? I'm subscribed. I appreciate you subscribing, fam. But yeah, man, that fight's gonna be a dud. Nobody's probably gonna be interested in it, but the people over there, man. Far as ratings and all that, I think it's not gonna do a goddamn thing. But we got a fight that I'm really interested in, man. It's probably the most interesting fight of the weekend for me, anyway, and that is Daniel Dubois, who was 11-0 with 10 KOs. He's going up against Nathan Gorman, who was 16-0 with 11 KOs. I think these are two young, hot prospects, man, who are, right at the verge of being to becoming something, man. You know what I'm saying? To becoming something. And
yeah, I mean, it's like, it's rare that you see young prospects matched up against each other so early. And but like because in today it's like kind of like you want to try to build them up, and it's like frowned upon because what happens if one of them is not really the goods and gets KO'd. And I think that practice has really gone down over the years. But it's kind of refreshing to actually see young prospects actually face against each other like this. And yeah, I mean, I personally think it's gonna end in a KO. And I'm looking at Gorman for some reason. I just don't know why, but Gorman is my gut feeling.
You think Gorman gonna win?
I do.
Wow.
I really do.
Wow.
It's a good feeling. I don't understand. I'm trying to figure out why. I mean, I look at both of them, but I look at a whole bunch of highlights. I've seen their fights. I'm just thinking Gorman. There's something about Gorman that's just making me think that he's going to win. I can't really explain why.
Yeah. Daniel Dubois, he was in a real tough matchup, man. I cannot remember the guy's name. His last fight, where he had to, he had to show a little nuts, man. He had to show a little metal, man. Dude was in there, throwing leather right back at him. You know what I'm saying? And
was it the fight that he went the distance with?
No, he ended up stopping him. But dude caught Dubois with something that kind of shook him up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Kind of shook him up a little bit. And I'm kind of, Gorman has power. You know what I'm saying? Gorman has power. So I'm interested to see, how Dubois is able to handle his power and vice versa, man. Both guys can punch, and I'm interested to see.
I mean, personally, I think it might not go no farther than 6. That's just my my gut check prediction.
Wow. We'll see. I hope so, man. But I do think it's going to be like a rock'em sock'em type of fight.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And
things are going to be tested for real.
Yeah, I'll be tuned into that one, man. And we got this fight that I think you're going to this fight, man. Shakur Stevenson going up against Frankie Manzanilla.
Oh, no, not anymore. He's facing another opponent. I forgot his name, because Manzanilla dropped out of that fight, which makes the second opponent that dropped out again. For Shakur.
These guys are toning it down. Andre Ward put a tweet out the other day and just was talking about how many different guys were offered this fight and turned it down, like top guys. He didn't name them, but you know what I mean? These guys are trying to stay away from Shakur Stevenson, man. He's 11-0 now with 6 knockouts, and he's looking better and better every fight. His power is better. You know what I'm saying? He's looking more poised and patience, and I think that whoever it is in trouble. I don't even.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate because right now, because Shakur took a step up when he beat Christopher Diaz, but now he's basically because he had his 2 opponents, they dropped out, and they were high profile. They're the type of opponents that you want to see him against. but instead he's getting pretty much someone who's like an opponent who I think even lost his last fight. He was on the Pacquiao Broner card, the opening fight too. I forgot his name, but that's who he's facing. He was the one that had the dud match, the opener.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm thinking to myself, man, Shakur will probably get rid of him, but it just boggles my mind. Like Shakur is 11-0 right now. The veterans should be jumping to try to see if they can actually try to take a zero, because when Shakur gets past a certain level, he's going to be incredibly hard to beat.
Yeah.
I would think that they would try to test the kid's chin, because Manzia would have tested his chin, because he was like 18-5, but he has 17 knockouts. You know, so that I was like, okay, that was this was gonna be good, but now it's just gonna be a showcase fight. But I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there. I'm taking the trip to Newark on Saturday morning, man. I'm gonna be there live and center on airing on ESPN.
Who else is on the card? Like, is there anybody else worth mentioning on the card? Because I didn't.
I mean, the co-main event is Joshua Greer, and he's facing Nikolai Potapov, and that's actually an eliminator. That's the IBF bantamweight eliminator. So whoever wins this one is facing whoever's the IBF champion that comes out from the World Boxing Super Series.
Okay.
So yeah, wow. Joshua Greer, don't blink. Dude, like he's a prospect too, like Shakur. I think he's already lost one fight already, but dude has been making a name for himself. So that fight now I'm more interested in the Shakur fight because it got kind of degraded. But that fight will definitely, like, pretty much if Greer wins this fight, he gets a title shot, like probably sometime at the end of the year or early next year. So
Greer's getting better and better. He's getting better and better. I'm watching him every fight, and he's getting better and better. Like you said, he does have that one L, but ever since then, man, Greer has really been, he's really been working in the gym. You could see it. You could see it in the ring, man. But the final matchup for the weekend that I'm interested in is Jamal James, man. Jamal James. This would be like the fourth or fifth time in a row that he's fighting in his hometown of Minnesota. He's going up against the veteran Antonio DeMarco. Now, Jamal James is 25-1. That one loss is to Yordenis Ugas. He has 12 knockouts. He's going against DeMarco, man. DeMarco's a veteran, 33-7 with 24 KOs. DeMarco been around a while. He's, he has definitely seen better days, but I want to see how Jamal James is able to handle DeMarco, man. I really want to see how he's able to handle DeMarco. I know Jamal is really high up in the rankings as far as the WBA. And Showtime is really taking it. Was it Showtime or Fox? I think it's Fox. Fox is really taking an interest in him. They have done a special on him. So I think they're like grooming him. They may be grooming him to face the possible winner of a Manny Pacquiao, Keith Thurman. Because I do believe like he's number 1 or he's number 2 in the WBA. So they want people to see. So this is the fight where he needs to perform like they did the special on him. He's going to be on prime time. This is the fight he needs to perform.
Yeah, like I said, Jamal James, I've watched him because he was putting in work on the PBC bounce cards. I used to watch them because, bounce cards, luckily for me, bounce actually, my cable system files actually carries that. So I got to see him like go up. I saw the Ugas fight, and he's actually proven him there. Like earlier this year, he fought in Minnesota too. Like he's a legit draw over there. And I know people are like watching it, like, I remember when he actually KO'd that cat, like the crowd just went like ape shit. Like it was just like, I was like, okay, that's a star right there. So I'm just trying to figure out like why it's taking him so long to actually get a shot at a welterweight title. Like personally, I think his time has come. Like, and like DeMarco is not really a welterweight to me. Obviously he's a former champion at 135 or whatever. Dude, but yeah. Dude has not. Dude can handle himself. He's a hard guy to beat.
Right. I agree. He's not really a true welterweight. You're right. You're right about that. But also, man, we got we a little more than a week away, maybe a week and a half away from the the fight of the summer that I think will be the fight that everybody's going to be looking at for us right now this summer, man, and that's between the legend Manny Pacquiao and the former unified welterweight champion Keith one-time Thurman. I have seen that Pacquiao is now the favorite in the betting odds, and I'm just going to wait a little closer to the fight. I'm going to let as many Filipinos as possible bet on Manny Pacquiao and raise the odds even more, because I am definitely betting on Keith one-time Thurman, and I'm betting on him to stop the legend Manny Pacquiao. Now, before anybody goes crazy, man, let me tell you this. I am a Manny Pacquiao fan. I've been a fan for him for years. I remember watching him on the undercard of Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis. That was almost 20 years ago. I watched a couple fights before then. So let me just tell you, I've been a Manny Pacquiao fan for years. But this one right here, this fight right here, I think is a very bad matchup for him. I don't think that he can handle Keith one-time Thurman. If you look at the last 5 years of opponents that Manny Pacquiao has faced, none of them possess the power that Keith Thurman has. You know what I'm saying? And with the exception of Floyd Mayweather and possibly Tim Bradley, none of them was on the level as far as skills as a Keith Thurman. And I just think that if Keith Thurman can avoid getting caught by something he don't see, I think he's going to destroy Manny Pacquiao, man. I think he's going to come out in the first round like Keith Thurman always does and jump right on him. Keith Thurman's the type of fighter who wants to, he wants to know that he wants his opponent to know that, yeah, I can punch hard. He wants them to know that in the first round, so it gives them something to think about for the next few rounds. And I think he's going to jump right on Manny Pacquiao. And it may be a earlier night than people think, but I definitely think that he's going to end up stopping Manny, man. How you look at this fight, fam?
Man, let's put it this way. I mean, Pacquiao, obviously, he's aging probably, like, he's in the twilight of his career. He's like 40 years old and everything like that. So we all know it. But like I said, I always say all-time great. Like, if Pacquiao is right now on PBC, if Pacquiao goes ahead and starts running the gauntlet on the PBC welterweights and starts beating them, like, you really have to seriously consider where he is on all-time. Like, he'd be a top 20, top 15 pound of all time, easy. Like,
Absolutely.
You couldn't front on that. With that being said, I mean, obviously he is slowing down, but he still has some speed, though. Like, surprisingly, for a man that has like almost 70 fights or 70-something fights, he still has his quickness. His footwork has deteriorated, though. But like I said, he still punches at these weird angles that most fighters just don't expect. I mean, we saw in the Broner fight. Broner, who's a competent boxer when he lets his hands go, just couldn't do anything with him. Just let himself get outworked by an older man. And in contrast, Keith, I always say, I'm a fan of Keith. Keith has power. He can use his head or whatever. But Keith's inactivity and in these weird things where he gets hurt by lesser fighters. Like, first it was Louis Collazo. Shout out to Louis Collazo. And then with Josecito Lopez, who was pretty worn down, and he almost got stopped by him. This is the type of thing. I just think that the injuries and the inactivity for Keith Thurman have made it hard for me to say, okay, he's going to actually knock out Manny Pacquiao, who's actually been pretty active as a fighter and hasn't really shown. He's shown slippage, but not the type of slippage that you say, okay, he's going to get knocked out. He's going to get knocked out by one of these younger welterweights. So that's why I'm not surprised that Manny Pacquiao is the favorite in this fight, and I do think that Manny Pacquiao will probably make it a little hot for him in the beginning. But all I know is, like I said, I just hope that whatever Thurman, was doing preparing for the Lopez fight, he better correct that for this fight.
I think he absolutely corrected it, man. I think he absolutely corrected it. Like you said, he worked worked out by himself for that fight. You know what I'm saying? He has taken the position of hiring 2 strength and conditioning coaches and nutritionists. We see him in all these videos working hard, man, and really seem like he's zoned in to this fight, man. Manny Pacquiao, one thing that Manny Pacquiao has been really good at over the years that has made him a great fighter was his ability to come in and out on different angles was his speed, his footwork, being able to come in, bop, 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 and bust a fighter up and be able to get out of there before, you know, before the fighter knows what happens, man. I watched his legs in the Adrian Broner fight. Yeah, he's still moving, but he's not moving like he used to. I seen him clumsy. I seen him stumbling around a little bit. He wasn't able to just move smoothly like he used to, man. And I think that
Right.
that's going to cost him against Keith Thurman, man. Manny Pacquiao, you know, he loves to get into it in exchanges. The same with Keith Thurman, who loves to get into exchanges. And I think that you know, Keith is a very good counterpuncher, man. You know, that's what, you know, Marquez caught Pacquiao with a beautiful counterpunch that put him to sleep, man. And I think that Keith Thurman is definitely a heavier puncher than Marquez. Marquez was definitely not a natural welterweight, man. And you know,
Yeah,
Keith
natural is the word.
yeah, yeah, but you know, in the testing aspect of this fight is just blows my mind. They say they're gonna be testing, then they say they ain't gonna be testing, and you know, I think that both guys, you know, are fools for, you know, not having VADA involved in this fight, man, which tells me that, you know, maybe both of them are interested in doing a little something extra for the fight. Maybe this is where Keith Thurman is getting all this confidence from, because, hey, man, you got to look at the dude, man. The dude is confident. He's 100% confident, man. I haven't heard him talk this much shit in a long time. Maybe I never heard him talk this much shit ever, be this confident of winning the fight ever. Now, I know part of it is part of the promotion, part of him selling the pay-per-view, but I really, truly believe that Keith Thurman thinks he's going to stop Manny Pacquiao. I believe him. I think he will.
Well, I mean, hey, you know, if he does it, and as long as it makes for as long as it makes for a good, entertaining fight for me to watch, I'm all for it. You know what I'm saying? And I always said before, like, if you really want the welterweight division to move forward, you gotta start getting rid of some of the older fighters. And and there's no bigger target right now, you know, than Manny Pacquiao. I mean, like, like I said, the first person that actually gets rid of Manny Pacquiao will probably be the one that will probably lead the welterweight division into a new era. New era for it.
I do. I believe that, man. And I also think, if, you know, I've said this in my videos, if Keith Thurman is able to go out there and stop Manny Pacquiao in devastating fashion, I think that will give him the confidence needed to, you know, for Earl Spence fight. Because right now, I don't think that Keith Thurman actually knows in his head where he's at physically. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that he knows that, you know, that he's ready for Earl Spence Jr. But should he go in here and destroy a legend in Manny Pacquiao, man, I think he'll, you know, I mean, he'll be feeling himself, man. He'll be feeling himself, and I think that'll just be just the confidence he need to challenge Earl Spence, because the winner of Porter and Spence is waiting on the winner of this matchup. You know what I mean? Although Spence is the favorite to win over Porter, there's no guarantee that he does win. And just like, I think Thurman's going to knock out Pacquiao, but Pacquiao's a legend. He's been around for a long time, man. There's no guarantee that he does win that matchup. But what I really hope is that the winner of both matchups, face each other. You know, everybody keeps talking about, you know, the Bud situation. He should have came to PBC. He could have been fighting. He could have been fighting. Well, you look at the guys over there at PBC, man. Them guys ain't even fighting each other. You know, it took Earl Spence Jr. all this time to get a fight, you know what I mean, to get a fight with Sean Porter, you know what I mean, to get a unification fight. You know what I mean? This whole time that Keith Thurman's been gone, none of these welterweights surpassed him. None of them done shit since Thurman been gone. Thurman's come back and basically he's just one win away from being in the same position he was before he left.
Yeah, and that's the reason why I've never been a big fan of the welterweight division today. Like, they always say, "Oh, welterweight division, that's the marquee division." It hasn't been marquee about it since Pacquiao and Floyd. Like pretty much after that, it's like it's kind of like flounder. Like I said, no one is fighting each other. Like everyone wants it's either getting a showcase or whatever. And like pretty much the best welterweight fights are the ones that are like on the B level, like not the ones that the top contenders or the champs or whatever. And it's been frustrating to watch this division just stagnate and just not do anything.
It
And,
really has.
and
Especially when there's so much talent. There's so much talent.
so much talent. Like I mean, like I said, I mean, I miss the days when when I could see an Antonio Margarito face a Paul Williams, or Berto face a Victor Ortiz, or a Cotto face a Joshua Clottey, or fighters that were getting in the mix. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Absolutely.
just like. And I don't see, and because these were epic fights, these were some great fights, and I just don't see it. I mean, save for Porter and Thurman, which I was in the house for, there hasn't been really any standout welterweight fights like that.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But I do think this one, well, actually, these two will be the standout fights that we need this year. The Earl Spence Porter I think that will be fireworks. I think it was the Thurman and Pacquiao. I think both of these fights, I think all four combatants, man, are ready to let it hang, man. They all got something to prove, man. Sean Porter, he wants to show everybody that he's not a coward, that Earl Spence ain't this boogeyman that everybody thinks. So he wants to prove that he's not scared of Earl Spence, man. So he's going to go out there and he's going to try to do whatever he can to keep Earl Spence up off of him, which is going to be a hell of a task, let me tell you. But I think it's going to be one that Sean Porter's up for. If you look at Sean Porter's life, man, Sean Porter lives the fighter's lifestyle. You don't see him out partying or with a big entourage, man. Earl Spence, he blows up in weight in between fights, man. And we have seen him, we heard rumors about him drinking a little bit or whatever or whatnot. And sooner or later, going up in weight and them extra activities, they're going to show up in the ring. You know what I'm saying? They're going to show up in the ring sooner or later, man. I know.
But also, though, with Porter, though, I mean, I watched Porter when he's at 154, and truth be told, I was not a fan of Porter. I actually thought Porter would actually wash out, and then he goes on to 147, and he basically that's where his career took off or whatever. But now I'm seeing like Porter's had a lot of hard fights, and in the Ugas fight has shown me that I think that Porter's time at welterweight started to come to an end because he's struggling to make the weight. And you have to admit, Porter debuted it as a super middleweight. Like, dude played football, you know what I'm saying? So I just think he's good. And I'm thinking how he's looking now is just because he's having trouble making the weight. Like he lives the boxer's lifestyle, but it becomes a time that sometimes your body just can't do what it's doing. And I know Porter goes to the extreme when it's training, and I think it started to affect his performance in the ring. Like Ugas, he didn't try to bully him, he tried to box, and he damn near almost lost his belt.
I agree.
And why Porter I think is probably the strongest welterweight. I just find it hard. I just don't see how he's going to be able to keep someone like Errol Spence, who's young and who has work rate, who's actually pretty fast, off him, for 12 rounds.
Yeah, me either, man. Me either. But what I'm saying, what gives me I don't want to say hope, what I'm saying, because I'm not actually a big fan of Sean Porter's fighting style, but I do like what Sean Porter represents, out of the ring, man. It seems to me like, he's a stand-up dude, man, a family guy who seems to does things right. So, part of me wants to see him do well, you know what I'm saying? And I know how hard he works in the gym. You know what I'm saying? I know how hard he works in the gym, and that alone makes me think, gives him a little chance of defending himself in this fight against Earl Spence. But I do think Earl Spence will win a unanimous decision. I don't think that he'll be able to stop Sean Porter. Sean Porter's a tough guy. I think maybe he gets dropped a few times, man, but I don't think he's gonna stop Sean Porter. Unless Sean Porter comes out there and tries to lay everything on the line, man. If he comes out there and tries to, go toe to toe with Spence and try to prove that, he ain't no sucker, you know what I mean, then I think that Earl Spencer's gonna beat him up, man, and beat him down and get him out of there. But I think that, he'll do what he did in the Ugas fight, what he did in the Danny fight, which is, use the ring. I think he's gonna have to use the ring more than he ever had to, man. But if I was him, I would try to make this fight as ugly as possible. Go back to that
that's
ugly.
a given. Like I'm talking about, it has to be like to levels of how he made his fight with Andre Berto. That type of
Yes,
ugly.
yes. Buckle up that chin strap and just go for it. Paulie Malignaggi, you're absolutely right, man.
Yep.
The way he did Berto, and was the same way he did Paulie, man. He went in there and went after it. You know what I mean? And I agree. You got to make it. You got to make it that way.
For sure.
But listen, man. I appreciate you coming on here, man. I think we just about covered everything. Is there something that you wanted that I didn't go over that you want to cover?
No, I mean, after all these fights that are going on this weekend, no, I think we touched upon like all the main fights or whatever. I mean, with the exception of one on Zone, I mean, where Ray Vargas is going to be defending his bantamweight title, against Tamoki Kamita, and I think that's going to be an underrated fight. Like I said, 122. I mean, because 122 right now is it's starting to heat up again. With Rigo coming back, having that almost near fight of the year caliber fight, and then you have Daniel Roman, Teishi Doheny fighting that fight of the year like war. Like you keep your eye on that fight. It could be interesting. Like I said, because we're probably on Zone's probably getting ready to probably get like another like unification going on in that division. And also I think Rigo is the mandatory for the winner of that fight. So
okay, I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna be sure to check it out, man. But listen, I want everybody to go and check out my man Bigger Pat on Ring Gang Radio. There's a group of them guys over there who Pat, tell them where they can find you, man. Tell them about what you're doing.
Oh yeah, man. Ring Gang Radio, man. See, we everywhere. Like I mean, we have a website. We have the YouTube. If you haven't seen it, we have all types of videos. Our podcasts are on there. But then also, if you have a podcast app, we're on Spotify, Stitcher. We're on Apple Podcasts, iTunes. We're on Google Play, man. Wherever. I mean, also too, we're on Twitter too. We have the regular Ring Gang Radio, and then also Ring Gang TV, which we're going to be focused on putting more of our media type of content, our creativity and stuff like that, our special videos and compilations, as they come up. So yeah, man, just check all that out and make sure you subscribe to it. And I promise you won't be disappointed.
Definitely not. I definitely appreciate you coming on. I was on the channel today, man, where you did the rap thing about the the fighter so far in 2019.
Yep. Shout out to my boy Shuttleworth. Shuttleworth the God, the GOAT artist, man. My man is talented. Like
Absolutely.
I said, follow him. Like his Twitter is the Soul Wars. He has his own. Like he's also a talented rapper and an artist. He can draw anything, man. So yeah, check out his stuff. And like I said, he also has some of his art on the website as well, on our website as well. So yeah, definitely check all that out.
Hey man, definitely, man. I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate everybody who came through, tuning in. Like I said, if you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. As we stay knee deep into this boxing conversation, man. You can also catch me on Instagram at Big Faces Worldwide. You can check out my boxing content over there. You can also check out, just get into my personal life just a little bit, man, and see what's going on with me, man. I'm also on Twitter at Big Faces Worldwide, which is all one word. But I appreciate you coming through, man. In the meantime and in between time, I want you all to stay blessed and keep on supporting this sport that we love called boxing. Peace.
Yes, sir.
I'll holler back.
Peace.